Sidwell and welcome to Masterclass Juniors. As you can see, I have no juniors today. Unfortunately, it's been a super busy week for both me and the kids. So what we decided to do is get the programme done during the day so that we can still broadcast it for you. So next week the kids will be back and I'm sure they'll be causing chaos and cooking with me. But anyway, let's get back to buns. Now, show me your buns is a thing. That's a hashtag. More and more of you are sending in your images of your buns and your amazing recipes. So thank you very much. We have a prize draw for this. So if you have an amazing bun recipe, please send it in to us. Hashtag it, show us your buns, and you can win a 5-piece bakeware set from Masterclass Smart Ceramic. It's amazing. It's just the same stuff that I use here. So let's get to our recipe. Today I'm going to show you how to make the most beautiful fruited tea cake buns. Now, a lot of people have different names for these, but this is a basic bread dough based bun. It's enriched with milk and butter, and we're going to flavour it with some amazing fruits. Now I've got sour cherries, cranberries, blueberries, raisins, I've got lemon juice, and I'm going to soak it all in green tea to make a really contemporary fruited tea cake that we can toast and lather in amazing butter. So this recipe starts with a really good bread dough. It's enriched with milk and butter, so it's got that amazing sort of soft, buttery, brioche type texture. It's delicious. So 500 grams of strong bread flour to begin with, okay? And then we are going to add 14 grams of dried yeast. If you're using fresh, double up my recipe because dried is twice as strong as fresh. So if you were using fresh, you need to go for 30 grams. Okay, so we're going to go with 10 grams of salt, which is about 2 teaspoons. Put that to one side, and then I've got 50 grams of caster sugar. Now I'm using caster sugar because I don't want the dough to be darker. If you were to use brown sugar, that would darken the dough a little bit, so flavour-wise it'd be great, it'd be amazing. You could use golden caster sugar, but I'm using white today, so I get that nice sort of white fluffy dough. So I'm just going to mix those in a little bit, and then I'm going to add in what would it be? 165 grams of butter, and this is salted butter at room temperature, alright? Really important, if you take it straight out of the fridge, it is not going to break up into the dough. So just sort of, with your fingers, just sort of rub it in a little bit, get it going. It'll all blend in soon. And then we'll make a well in the middle, and then we've got 300 mils of milk, okay? If you use the milk straight out of the fridge, everything's going to take a little bit longer because it's colder, okay? So if it's straight out of the fridge, just warm it up a little bit if you want, or add a splash of hot water to it just to warm everything up. And now I'm going to start to use my hand and twist it and roll it around the bowl until I get a dough. And once the dough is kind of in my hand and not in the bowl, I will transfer it onto the worktop and then we'll get kneading. Now, if you've got any questions at all about my recipes, please do post them in the Facebook page. And either myself or the team at Masterclass will answer them as best they can. All our recipes are on masterclass.co website, okay? And you can also find all my equipment that I use on cookserveandenjoy.com. New website, there's loads of amazing equipment on there. I'm always looking on it. Right, so I actually need a little bit more milk, okay? Because it's quite warm today, and on warm days, bread dough tends to need a bit more liquid because the flour is swollen up and it will absorb a little bit more. So, let's grab some milk. Right, so we'll just add a little bit at a time and just sort of feel for the right texture, okay? You like a fruited tea cake, Emily?
I do actually, yeah.
Yeah?
A little bit of butter on it.
A little bit of butter. Don't understand that, we need lots of butter. Sliced butter. We don't spread it, we slice it. And fruited or not fruited for you?
Yeah, I'm quite passionate with fruited.
Yeah? And how's this recipe sounding? Is it sort of a bit weird for you, or is it?
No, it's sounding good. better.
We're all right. We're okay. She's accepting it today. Right, so let's cut into this dough, Emily. You can you see that?
Yeah.
It's quite grainy, it's not stretching, it just looks like porridge. Thick, stodgy, heavy porridge. So what it needs is work. We need to knead this dough and we need to develop the gluten. And the only way to do it is to stretch. So hold the dough with one hand, push it away with the other, bring it back and do the same again. You could do this in a mixer, no problem. Just stick it on a low setting, let it do its thing until the dough is super smooth and stretchy and it kind of sits on the dough hook and the bowl is clean, okay? But we're doing it by hand because I like to show people how to make bread dough by hand. And then if you choose to put it in the machine, that's your call. And at least you know what's going on. Whereas if I just chuck it on the machine and walk off, you just don't know what's going on. So, good stretch, no flour. I've not added any extra flour at all, okay? It's really important that you don't add more flour because if you do, your dough will tighten and it will seize up and you won't get that lovely lift and that stretch and that just delicious sort of dough. Okay? Oh, good workout this. So as I'm kneading, when I push forward, I go down on my toes. When I come back, I go up on my heels. And that kind of helps take the strain out, uses your own body weight to develop the dough. And you can feel what's happening. You can see the change, hopefully, as Emily's cutting in to the type on worktop. You can see this dough has now changed in appearance. And my worktop is relatively clean. Okay? But can you see how that dough now works? It moves around. It doesn't stretch and tear. I mean, if you look at that now, Emily, can you see that?
Yeah.
It's now stretching. It's not there yet, but it is progressing and getting to where we want it to be. So once you've kneaded this for 10 minutes, you will get a really nice soft dough. Once you've got that dough, put it back in the bowl, cover it, and leave it to prove and double in size. Now, to make the filling for our tea cakes, I've got these beautiful dried berries, okay? So, let's have a look at them. We've got cranberries, blueberries, and sour cherries. And then we've got good old raisins. I thought we'd add some of those as well. But what we're going to do is kind of add real depth of flavour. In our masterclass recipes, we kind of pride ourselves on creating really good, solid, dependable recipes, but kind of evolving them and bringing in modern flavours and interpretation and things like that. So, what we're going to do is take half a lemon and we'll just juice that over. And this just gives us a little bit of bite and makes sure that we don't get too sweet, okay? Because we're dealing with dried fruit. And then we're going to make some green tea. Now, I've got the kettle over here. I've got double strength green tea, okay? And I'm just going to pour some boiling water over it. We'll let this brew. And then we will pour it over our dried fruit. And it just means that instead of just pouring on water, we've got a bit more flavour going on. And it's about building flavours, but using a really solid, dependable recipe. So, let's let that brew for a minute, and then we'll let it soak for about 10 minutes, and then the dough will be ready to bring together with these fruit. Now green tea is brewed, let's just pour it over our dried fruit. Now using dried fruit means it's got a more intense flavour, but what we're doing is softening the fruit and hydrating it with the green tea. Now we'll just give it a quick stir.
Is there any other dried fruit you can use?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, traditionally it would be mixed fruit. So you've got raisins, currants, sultanas, peel, orange peel, things like that, currants, that sort of thing. But you could use apricots, you could use dried figs. And you don't just have to do fruit, you could add nuts into your tea cakes as well, I think.
Would you avoid, like, fresh fruit.
Yeah, fresh fruit's got too much moisture in it, okay? And all kinds of weird things will happen to your dough if you add fresh fruit into there. But you can get all kinds of different fruits. I mean, prunes, prunes, dates, dried apple pieces, dried mango, pineapple. You could go tropical, you can go bonkers. You know, you can get dried, you can get freeze-dried raspberries, strawberries, rhubarb, you name it. You can go online and order all sorts of different stuff. So, you can can you see that, Emily? Do you see how the colour of the liquid now has got that lovely red colour?
Yeah.
That's come from the cherries and the cranberries. And they're just swelling up and they're just kind of drinking the green tea. So when you actually eat your tea cake, you'll get that really lovely sort of succulent fruit rather than dried fruit. Okay, right, let's go and get the dough. Okay, so our dough has proved it's doubled in size and it is ready. There we go. So, you can see, look how the dough has changed since we last saw it. It is stretchy, it's smooth, it's pliable, it is ready to incorporate the fruit, okay? And there's no easy, clean way of doing this. We're going to get in a bit of a mess, but that's okay. So, can you see that dough all right, Emily? Yeah, it looks quite different, doesn't it? Once it's sort of relaxed and the yeast has started to feed from the sugars, it's created carbon dioxide and it's pushed the dough out. Right, so let's take our dried fruit and we're just going to drain it a little bit. This has cooled a bit now. Give it a squeeze, but don't squeeze the life out of it because you don't want to squeeze all the green tea out. Just give it a little squeeze. There we go. That will do. Smells good. Right. So now we've got all these lovely bits of fruit. Okay. We need to incorporate this in. So what you want to do is take the edges, fold in, take the front, fold that one in. Okay. See that all right, Emily?
Yeah.
Fold in from the left, fold in from the right, fold in from the bottom there. Okay. Take from the left and the right and just kind of keep pulling it in, okay, like so. And eventually it will burst out, but it just means all the fruit's in the centre. And it can now, as you knead and work the dough and knock the air out from the proof, it means that the fruit will start to distribute throughout the dough nice and evenly. Alright? It's almost panettone like this.
Yeah.
You know, when you use different dried fruits and things like that. So, I mean, I always, you know, tea cakes for me, as a kid, if you went out with grandma and granddad, they would either have scones or a toasted tea cake. So they're quite sort of old-fashioned, I think, but there's something really nice about a really lovely toasted, warm tea cake with butter on it and a cup of tea or a coffee. Oh, it's going to be great. So you can see the fruit occasionally just sort of drops out, but that's okay, because we just put the fruit back in and just keep kneading. Okay? You could also add some spices in there. If you like cinnamon, you could add a bit of cinnamon, add a bit of nutmeg if you like, a bit of vanilla, whatever takes your fancy really. And if you don't like green tea, you could soak it in straight water if you want. Ginger tea is quite nice because you get a nice punchy flavour. You could soak them in orange juice, that works quite well. Apple juice. And you could just leave them overnight in the fridge if you wanted to. You don't have to do it with boiling water. Right. So, we can now see we've got one solid piece of dough now, okay? So what we need to do is divide this up into portions. We'll roll them and we'll get them baked. So, let's get a knife. Okay, so I'm just going to cut it in half. This is the best way. Cut that in half. Cut that into quarters. And then you're going to get a visual portion. Now, if you're particular and you want it exact, you can weigh them out. There we go. These are going to be good, proper Yorkshire-sized tea cakes, I think. So, what we want to do, let me just grab a tray. Here's one. So, This is one of the smart ceramic trays. Now, if you enter Show Me Your Buns as part of the 5-piece set, you get one of these. Alright? Super non-stick, lifetime guarantee. And they've got these little air pockets which allow your baking to not stick. Alright? Shall I put that there, Emily?
Yeah, you can bring it up closer towards you if you want.
That means no. Move it, Pete. There.
Perfect.
Right, so what I'd like to do, which camera would you like me to show some detail?
Keep them exactly there and you can see it, yeah.
So I've got this dough, and you can see all these pieces of dried fruit, okay? So let's tuck them in, alright? Tuck everything in, like we did with the original big size piece. Turn it over, like so, and then just roll it. So my hand is like cupping the bun, if you pardon the expression. And then I'm just rolling it clockwise with my left hand until I end up with a perfectly round bun. Alright, now, can you see that piece there, Emily?
I can't.
That is going to burst out, do you see?
Yeah.
So we're going to get that before, take it out and tuck it in. And do the same with that one. So any fruit that is right at the surface, just pull it out, tuck it in. Alright, pop that there. They're a little bit like hot cross buns really, if you like, these, but without the cross. So you could do hot cross buns next Easter with the same recipe. But there, can you see that one there, Emily?
Yeah.
That one's going to cause me trouble. So that one's coming out, and I'm going to tuck it into the other ones. And then I'm just going to keep repeating the process. Have you ever made tea cakes before?
I haven't actually.
No?
This one I'll try.
Is it, yeah? What Emily tends to do is go home at the weekends, we let her out on the weekends, and go and test all these recipes, and she comes back on a Monday morning. Actually, Pete, that was alright. Actually, my mum does the same. Actually, that was quite good.
You're surprised.
I know. Right, so, let's quickly get these rolled. You want to leave a good 3 or 4 centimetre gap between them, okay? Because you don't want them to prove into each other for a tea cake, not particularly. Make sure that we tuck all those things in, okay? Now, we've had a debate today in the office. Buns versus cakes, okay? Now these are a bun, are they not, Emily?
Yeah.
Yeah? And I was like, I haven't made any little cake buns yet. And the debate is a little cake bun, fairy bun, is it a bun or a cake? So there's the question for you. There's the debate. Is it a bun or a cake? Post in the feed, and we will find out whether I am right or Emily is right.
Fairy cake all the way.
So Emily thinks it's a fairy cake. I think it's a fairy bun. Either way, I haven't made any, but I must make some soon, I think. So last two, and what we're going to do is we're going to let these prove. They want to double in size because you want to give that yeast chance, because you want a nice light tea cake. You don't want a really sort of heavy, dense sort of dough, because they still want to be quite light, which is why we doubled the yeast, okay? So that we get a nice light bake. But there we go. All 8 decent size. You could do 16 half the size equally if you wanted, if you've got a smaller appetite, but I am from Yorkshire, and so when these are ready, I need ½ pound of butter with these. So let's let these prove and double in size before we bake them at 180 degrees. Okay, tea cakes are baked. Look at those. They look good. Smell good, yeah? Right, I've got some apricot jam, which I'm just going to brush on the top really lightly. So we'll just warm it through. You don't even need to boil it. But that little glisten just makes them look so lovely. Really, really does make them look good. And let me just quickly brush these. Give them that nice glisten, and then we're going to cut one of these open. Hopefully Emily will have the kettle on, because they need a proper cup of tea with these, I would say.
Yeah, a cup of tea.
There we go. So just as the apricot jam, don't put too much on either, because if you are going to toast these, you don't want them sort of soaked. You just want a little glisten. There we go. There we go. Perfect. So there you go, that is how to make some amazing tea cake buns. And if you have any recipes that you really want to share, please post them to us. Hashtag show us your buns for a chance to win a 5-piece Smart Ceramic Masterclass bakeware. This is one of the trays that you get. Send us your recipes in, because next week we will be choosing a winner at random. I'm going to get the kids to do it. So somebody will be getting an amazing bakeware set. Thank you very much, and please do remember, if you want the recipe, go to masterclass.co. Have an amazing week, and I will see you on Saturday.